Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. For today's video I thought we could talk about the 5 books that I read in March and in April. So let's just do that. Starting off really strong, I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a book that I actually read like 4 years ago or something when I first got into reading. And that was a 5-star for me. This was one of my favorite books of all time. I just loved it so much. But because it has been 4 years, I was like, do I still love that book as much as I did back then? And I still do. This is an easy 5-star. It's one of the best books I've ever read. I just love it so much. I can't even explain why. In the story, you follow Evelyn Hugo, and she kind of gives a very exclusive interview of her life, and she basically sits down with a journalist, I think, and tells her entire life story and how Evelyn Hugo was very famous for her 7 husbands, and you kind of get to know everything about her life, all of the bad parts, the good parts, what she sacrificed and stuff like that. And it's just such an emotional and beautiful and heartbreaking story all in one, and it's absolutely amazing. This is a work of art, really. I love this book so much. So yeah, definitely check this one out. It's incredible and I just love it. And the second book that I read in March, I don't have a physical copy of at the moment. I do have one, but I gave it to my dad because I was like, you need to read this. And so he's going to read it. But because the movie was coming out around the end of March, the beginning of April, I think, I decided to pick up the book first because obviously you need to read the book before you watch the movie. I mean, that's just obvious. So I picked up Project Hail Mary not knowing what to expect, not knowing what the story is about really. I just knew it was a guy wakes up in space, his crewmates are dead, and he doesn't know what is happening. He doesn't even know his own name. And that is the craziest premise I have ever heard. But I was really intrigued, and I heard that it was easier sci-fi to begin with. It's not super complicated and stuff like that. It's pretty simple, and the writing is easy, so you understand what's going on. And that was very important to me because I have never really read that much sci-fi before. So it was definitely a great book to get into sci-fi, I think. So I would recommend reading that. Because it was an easy 5 stars. It was so amazing. The book is about so much more than just a guy waking up in space. Obviously, it's about humanity and how much you're willing to sacrifice. Also about friendship and I don't know, just a lot of different things, and it's just such a beautiful story. The movie was also great, I have to say. It was amazing. But I would definitely recommend reading the book before watching the movie because I thought while I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if I would have understood what was going on that well if I hadn't read the book before. But I think they did the book justice. It was really incredible. So yeah, that was an amazing story and just phenomenal. And now heading into the books I read in April. At the beginning, I read Looking for Alaska by John Green, which is a really random book to pick up, I don't know. But I have been wanting to read something by John Green for a while, and my girlfriend loves this book, so I decided to pick this one up. This book is about a guy who starts at a boarding school. You basically just follow him on his journey at this new school and his kind of new life, I would say. He hadn't really had a lot of friends before, and now he's making these new friends, and there's this girl and stuff like that, and it's a really fun story. And then at the middle something crazy happens, and then you live with the aftermath for half of the book. And this sounds kind of strange, but it is a really interesting story, and it is also a very emotional story, I would say. All of these characters have so many flaws and are so emotionally broken at times, not in a heavy way. I feel like it was portrayed in a pretty good and light way, so that it's not you're depressed after you read this book, but the characters are really flawed, and I think that this book just portrays that in a really good way. And it shows that even though some people might seem very chill and whatever, that still doesn't mean that there isn't more behind that facade. So I just thought that was a really beautiful book and also really fun and funny and just encapsulates what it is being a teenager and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was really, really fun. For this next book, I'm just going to say I still don't really know how to pronounce the title of it well, but the book I'm talking about is Welcome to the Hunam Dog Bookshop. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this book is actually a South Korean book that was translated. This book is basically about a bookshop, obviously. That's kind of a given in the title. And you follow mainly the bookshop owner and her life with the bookshop, the challenges, and also just like her life in general, not just directly in correlation to the bookshop, but also just outside of it. And then you also meet all of these new characters, like, I don't know, the barista at the bookshop, or a woman that comes to the bookshop and just sits in it for hours and just orders a coffee every 3 hours, and things like that. And it might sound kind of strange, like, why is that interesting? But you kind of get to know them and know their life and their story, and it's just so beautiful. It's so beautifully written, and I just thought it was a very beautiful book. And I feel like also with like spring coming and the summer approaching and stuff like that, it felt very right because the cover just screams spring for some reason. So yeah, it was just a very beautiful story and I really, really liked it. And while I was reading that, I was also audiobooking a book, and that was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. That is the actress of Sam from iCarly. I didn't really watch that show growing up or anything. That's just where you probably know her from. And she has had a very complicated relationship with her career, with herself and her body especially, and also with her mom. And that is what that book focuses on. So I would definitely say check trigger warnings before reading that book, because there is a lot of like self-destructive behavior and stuff like that. But it is a very inspiring story, I would say, and also very vulnerable of her just opening up like that. And basically she tells her entire life story and how she started off acting because her mom wanted her to act, and she always felt really uncomfortable acting, but it was something her mom wanted and she wanted to make her mom happy. And that's kind of everything you need to know, I feel like. I don't really know how to explain that book, but it's just such an impactful story, I would say. So these were the 5 books that I read in March and in April. I really hope you enjoyed watching my little book wrap up, my little reading wrap up, and let me know if there are any books that I should read, or if you have read any of these books and what your thoughts were. And that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, maybe like, comment, or subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!